Because she's not just any female character. There's something spiritual about her, which is why this particular change seems more insulting than others in the past. She really does represent something divine. She's not a mortal woman. She's beyond that, something else, out of reach. Something pure and eternal, goddess-like. How might you desecrate a character like that? Covering her in mud and blood would be a good start.
Desecrate? This woman is way more sexist than she even claims that I am.
It's literally what she said was literally what I just said, you know, a minute ago about Yoda. There are characters who we view as supposed to be like beyond fighting or above fighting. And I would agree that at least from Lord of the Rings, Galadriel definitely seems to fit that mold.
Every email I get from a fan saying, "Oh, you helped me debate my parents into accepting my identity as a trans woman. Your experiences are valid and wonderful, but the joy your email gives me is nothing in comparison to every angry tweet I see on Twitter whenever I go trending of people seething that I'm relevant." It is, oh, it's ambrosia.
Let's begin with the intro here. Let's just roll right into the video. What do you think?
Let's roll. Is there any setup here?
Well, people have been asking me to cover this video like crazy. First of all, out of respect for our talk with Hans Moeller, Dr. Hans Moeller, the author of the Pro-Felicity book, You and Your Profile, which basically lays out a case that there's been several different modes of identity creation throughout history. One is sincerity, which rolled into authenticity, which rolled into something he's calling pro-felicity. And I noticed, and pro-felicity has this special detail in that you're working on something called second-order observation. So you're building your identity, not just, trying to be your authentic self to the world, but you're taking in how people observe you and trying to tailor your identity to something he calls the general peer. So it's really a lot about how people perceive you, which I think is something many people never learn how to do. Like they're not really self-aware in any way, shape, or form. And I think self-awareness is like a superpower people should work to develop. So if you think about pro-felicity having to do with second order observation and authenticity having to do with how you display your authentic self to the world, this YouTuber, this woman, has near the perfect screen name. She is called the Authentic Observer. So she's making a case to authenticity as a second order observer, which I think is pretty badass. Very high
but
order
she's a
intellectual.
TERF. She's a British TERF, according to the title.
This is another thing we have to talk about. Now, it is bad faith to I'm taking a strong position here. I'm going to say it's bad faith, even if you're just a moron and you misrepresent people on the internet, especially if you have a giant platform like Vaush has. So I don't know that this woman is a TERF. And TERF is a slur. I'm with Dr. So on this one. TERF is a slur. He might as well use the N-word there and say another.
Well,
no, I'm serious.
Not quite serious. The realm of the N-word.
All of what makes the N-word a slur, forwarding negative stereotypes about black people, works with all of the slurs that Vaush does. They're just aimed at conservatives.
Well, is Authentic Observer a feminist? I mean, because if that's the case, if she's not a feminist, then calling these people TERFs doesn't even make sense.
Well, I wanted to cover this video because I watched her original video, and her original video is great. And she makes a great, compelling argument for destroying gender stereotypes, specifically gender stereotypes that women are weak.
Right.
And this completely goes over Vaush's head. Vaush does not understand this. So in the original video, she's saying, hey, I don't understand why you've got to make female action heroes into men.
Yes,
Can't we?
great, yeah,
Can't we highlight what is uniquely feminine as a strength? And I'm completely down with that. One of the things that I have a problem with in these action movies, and Batman did get around it, because Batman, obviously the Bruce Wayne character, Batman, he's got like 150 pounds on the Catwoman girl, right? There's no way she's going to kick his ass in hand-to-hand combat. And in the movie, he does ultimately just overpower her. It's like, no, this isn't happening, right?
Yeah, I was actually, for all the problems in the Batman movie, which there are many, I was surprised and somewhat applauded the fact that they didn't make Catwoman like a magic kung fu warrior who can just, flip over anyone who's like 100 pounds over, stronger than her.
But this now listen, I know we have people want us to do a stream on the Second Amendment, guns, whatever. During Batman, it dawned on me that since women are physically underpowered compared to men, all of these action heroes should be weapons experts. It just makes logical sense.
Yes.
Like, you don't need the weapons are the great equalizer. They really are. Because if you're a weapons expert, you've got knives, you've got guns, you've got everything. Like, you're avoiding hand-to-hand combat at all costs, because that's where you lose.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the next level action hero. And I believe this is the direction that any wise producers will go.
You know what movie fell into that trap you're talking about of making the women men? Like, a really awful movie that did that. It's one of your favorite movies.
Is it?
One of your favorite
Wonder
Quentin
Woman.
Tarantino movies.
Oh no.
Death Proof.
Oh, Death Proof? Do they? Maybe.
That's
that's first of all, that's an ancient movie. That's not a not a new
What do you
movie,
mean?
But
okay, but I'm saying
just because you just saw it.
I saw it like years and years ago.
Okay.
In Death Proof, what's the bad guy? Kurt Russell, who's the bad guy. He talks to some women who are written very well. And the first group of women he interacts with, they're written very well. They seem like completely normal, realistic.
Yeah, they're stunt women.
Characters you would talk to and people you talk to. Or the first group is not stunt women. The first group are just, I forget what their vocation is. They're just random people.
Right.
Like,
like
college students or something
right.
on a road trip. I forget.
Right.
But, and I was like, and it's just kind of like they have like these very realistic, interesting conversations. They don't seem overly weak or strong. They just seem completely realistic. And he fucking murders them.
Yeah.
Because they're just normal people, essentially.
Right.
He drives his car and crashes into them because he's a psychopath and
right.
an evil murderer. And then the second group of women who he interacts with are stunt women. And none of them are actually women. They're all just men. They're just male characters written and read by female actresses. And it's so bizarre and weird because they defeat Kurt Russell. They utterly destroy and defeat Kurt Russell, but it comes off like almost misogynistic because it seems like we're like, well, so was the point that, Kurt Russell could only be defeated by men and not women?
Yeah, see, that's the interesting dynamic. I will get in Death Proof, they do somewhat get around it, as in it's 3 women on 1, which would equal the numbers a bit, and also
it has nothing to do with physical strength.
They're fighting in cars, which
it has nothing to do with physical strength. It's just the way the characters act. They're just acted in like very stereotypical, like fuckboy do-bros, which I mean, it's like, it's a very weird. I think it's a terrible movie. Because of
I don't have a problem with that because I'm all for abolishing gender stereotypes.
I see. So you want more movies that have women that are acting like stereotypical men.
Sitch, I am a truth seeker, okay? When I brought this point up, I brought it up in that it, you know, it goes
You just
against
don't like
reality.
that I'm attacking a movie you like, so it's okay.
No, it goes. I'm saying it goes against reality when the women fight like they weigh 350 pounds, and you can obviously see that they weigh 120 pounds tops.
But it also
with their hair wet.
But it also goes against reality that you have a bunch of young 20-year-old something women who
that talk like men?
a woman you've ever interacted with in your entire life, but all act like the douchiest guy frat boys that you would, it's like a negative stereotype of men, essentially.
I mean, I know a lot of.
Maybe I've lived a sheltered life.
Yeah,
I've never met a group of women that act in that manner. Okay. But that's just me.
So we're gonna watch a little bit of the intro here just to get a flavor for it, and then I took some notes so we can skip around. So here we go.
To be a pattern, which brings
Who the fuck is this? The authentic observer. Do I know this person? Who is this?
me to one of the other things that happened that I did also want to discuss in the video, because I think it illustrates my point fairly well. I'm really putting my foot in it now, but I can't seem to help it. The whole Vaush J.K. Rowling fiasco so perfectly demonstrates what I'm talking about. Vaush, sweetheart, what's the matter?
Okay, if anyone, hold on, real quickly. If anyone makes an expression like this at the camera at any point, it's legally okay to be sexist towards them. I'll be taking this information to heart as I move forward with this video. Gonna condescend to me? That's okay. I'm going to evoke several millennia of oppression against you. That's fair.
No, I do think he's joking here. I do think.
Well, no, but see, he's not joking. That's what's so fascinating about this, is that we've talked about this a lot, where a lot of the complaints about misogyny and homophobia and racism on video game spaces, essentially.
Right, on the right, yes.
Where they complain, people on the left will complain about this in video game spaces, and what they're missing is that in a lot of these spaces, people aren't actually misogynist or racist or even homophobic. They're just assholes, and they're trying to get a rise out of people. So they'll intentionally pick something they know will upset them, essentially.
And you don't think that applies to Vaush here? I kind of feel like it does.
Right, but so that's exactly, well, I don't know. See, with Vaush, either A, he's engaged in that behavior, which means he's a horrible fucking hypocrite because he's said he's against that behavior in the past, 100%. And he's acted like he's against that behavior. Or B, I don't think that's it. I think Vaush actually is a fucking misogynist. I mean, what group of people have we seen Vaush? Like, he doesn't do this with everyone. He seems like he really hones in on women. Right? I don't know. Just like the same thing with J.K. Rowling.
I've seen Vaush do dozens and dozens and dozens of misogynistic things. So
exactly. But
I have no idea.
Do we see him do racist stuff against like black people or something that he doesn't like?
Not really. No. I mean,
so why is it always the women's?
Well,
I'm just saying. It's.
I mean,
it just seems to keep happening.
As a resident sexist on the show,
yeah,
I got to admit. Well, the thing is, I feel it's okay for me to be sexist because I'm not sexist at all. Like,
right.
There are biological sex differences between men and women that are quite evident. That I think society would be a lot better if we studied these more and publicized.
Did not prescribe them.
Yes, acknowledge them. Yeah. Acknowledge them. And said, this is a rule of thumb. Obviously, people fall outside of this.
Right.
Like, we don't want to acknowledge them, but not build negative stereotypes around them, which is one of the reasons why I love this Authentic Observer's original video, where she talks about having, strong female characters in movies that aren't just men, basically. Yes. So yeah, something that is obviously and I've said this too about AOC. Like, I feel like AOC is one of the first Congress women that is obviously playing to her female strengths, where most female politicians try to be in the boys' club. They just try to be men politicians, but they're going to wear the pants.
I don't think it's right of you, Adam, to say that our female congresswoman who's decided to publicly have a panic attack for
well, I didn't mean that, but
have an unreasonable panic attack and then try to make everything about her. I don't think that's a good indication of using your female strength. Okay,
you got to admit, I mean, it is kind of. It is.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good. That's not the example I would hone in on.
Pull yourself together, woman. We're gonna get through this.
Katie Porter was far more the symbol of female strength. Saying, listen, listen, right. AOC. Katie Porter put AOC on her lap and stroked her hair and said, "Listen, AOC, I am a mother. I will take care of you. I will protect you. We're gonna get through this, okay? We'll find some shoes for you."
Yes.
What size shoe do you wear, AOC?
Yes, indeed. Hey, you want to read the super chat from J-Mac?
J-Mac!
Yeah, there we go.
Our surrogate father. Happy late Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, J-Mac.
Yes, our surrogate father for $200. Oh my God. So incredibly generous as always, J-Mac. Says, whoa, who loves Tuesday streams? I do. Hey, side note, Sitch and Adam, gas prices are pretty bad and the stock market has been nosediving. So we're tightening the belt a bit here at JMac Estate. Super chats are going to be a bit thinner until we start the economic recovery. Thanks, Obama. Well, of course. I don't want anyone to ever, JMac or anyone, to ever feel like they have to pay us, especially if,
of course.
Especially when the economy's not doing very well.
We expect it, and we all also thank you for your generosity, obviously. So.
Of course.
So let's play a little bit more here.
Fair.
Darling, I'm very concerned. This is troubling behavior. Vaush, I don't care.
Shut up, bitch. You stupid fucking bitch. Sorry.
Why is that? Should I not be laughing at that? I mean, it's hysterical.
I've never seen this video before, but it's actually really fascinating because this is the perfect example of how all these, not all these, but a lot of these leftist types, especially people in Vaush's audience, they're not actually advocates of any of the shit they say they are.
Oh, they're total fucking hypocrites. Yeah,
they're just bad people who want to bully and attack other people and create some kind of bullshit moral justification for it.
Okay, I have an assignment for you.
Yeah.
You have to pull out the Aldous Huxley quote. Do you have it handy, or do you need to look it up? We'll try to look it up while I play a little more of the video.
Right.
That was the punchline.
Here you go. I found it.
Oh, that quick?
It was in my history.
Okay.
This Fringy brought this, right? This was a Fringy quote.
No, I think it was a Chud Logic quote.
Oh, you're right. Chud Logic. Yeah. From our boy Huxley.
Right.
The surest way to work up a crusade in favor of some good cause is to promise people they will have a chance of maltreating someone, to be able to destroy. Get out of my way, ad. To be able to destroy with good conscience, to be able to behave badly and call your bad behavior righteous indignation. This is the height of psychological luxury, the most delicious of moral treats.
Right. Yeah.
That is Vaush's community in a nutshell.
It is. And they're going after, the reason he has 42 Ben Shapiro videos is because he sees Ben Shapiro as a racist homophobe. So he feels it necessary to take him down a peg. I mean, I feel like Vaush is a decent target because I really think he lies about people. Like his whole thing is just lying about people on the internet.
Yeah, but see, this is part of why this is extra interesting. I don't have a problem with Vaush covering Ben Shapiro and saying, I don't like Ben Shapiro for what he believes. Fuck him. He's a stupid idiot. He's a moron. Blah, 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 blah. But I'm assuming he's not attacking Ben Shapiro on the basis of being a male or being Jewish. And that's what's weird about this. He could call this YouTuber he doesn't like an idiot, a moron. You can even call her a bitch, but he specifically says he's doing it for sexist reasons. He specifically decided to attack this person on the basis of their identity.
Yeah. Well, I think there's enough cover to call that a joke. I mean, I do think.
But it's not. No. He's serious. What do you mean? He's completely. It's not.
I don't know. Is he really serious?
No. Okay, you have to understand. When someone says something's a joke, you have to understand what.
Do you think Vaush really thinks she's? Look, Vaush is attacking her because she attacked him first. So
no. Okay, listen.
She's trying to destroy his reputation. He's going to go after her reputation. Reputation destruction is the signature move of toxic femininity. This is like a cat fight that we're watching here.
I understand that. But there's two things we have to talk about. Okay. First is, again, I'm not saying that he can't attack someone. I'm not saying he can't insult someone.
Right.
Okay. He can do all those things and it wouldn't be hypocritical.
Right. But he's attacking her based on her identity.
He's attacking her based on her identity,
just
her
that
biological
she's a female,
identity.
Yeah. He doesn't even know her argument, and he never gets her argument right in the video.
Right.
That's why I wanted to talk about it.
And the second thing, that this is important, when someone says like, oh, it's a joke, you have to understand what that means, okay? And whether that's actually valid cover. Like, for example, the Washington Post story, where the guy retweets, all women are bipolar or bisexual. Right. You have to figure out which one. Okay. That's a joke in that he doesn't actually believe that statement.
Right.
Okay. It's like it's a kind of a ludicrous, hyperbolized, not insane, but like inane way of the world. Like everyone knows he doesn't actually believe that.
Right. Yeah. He believes the opposite, obviously.
Well, no, but we've all had enough experiences with women who are in that category that it's funny enough.
It's like 50%, I'd say.
There you go. But there's a difference here with when Vaush says like, oh, I'm going to, use years of, all my years of systemic oppression against women or whatever the fuck comment he said. Okay. It's a joke in that he's saying something that's funny, but he's doing the behavior. He's not doing the behavior. He's not doing exactly the thing he said he's going to do. He does. That's why I'm saying he is conforming and seeming to believe with the statements he's making.
Does he believe women are inferior to men, though?
I think he does secretly. I don't think he would admit that, but I do think he believes that.
Really?
Well, it's weird that I said he always pulls out this misogynist card on women that he wants to attack. I don't see him pull off, the racist card on black people he wants to attack. I don't see. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's out here calling Ben Shapiro Jew boy in all his videos or something.
She responded to Vaush too, and kind of destroyed him. I mean, her response is really, it's hard hitting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if it did any more reputation, because this is the attack that people are generally taking against Vaush. It's the same attack that J.K. Rowling took, and it did obviously have an effect. I think it downsized Vaush's audience considerably, but I think he might be gaining audience share in the misogynist realm. So maybe it's a wash. Who knows?
So, as everybody probably already knows, he and J.K. Rowling got into a bit of a spat on Twitter, so much so that it made headlines. And his responses, coming from a self-proclaimed women's rights advocate.
Does this person think they're in James Bond? The Authentic Observer does sound like the kind of video title that the desecration of femininity. Okay, yeah. It does sound like the kind of video, like channel name that you would have for a person with a very high opinion of themselves. Is she a conservative, a liberal, or a leftist? I became a narcissist. Interesting. What happened to free speech? Probably.
So he's posed a question here. What is her political identification? So he can put her in a box, right? In the same way racists of the 1950s and 60s would say, what's their race so I can identify everything about them. How is this any different than just a racist of the 1950s with their negative stereotypes? All those stereotypes were oriented around race. Now all the stereotypes are oriented around political views, but they still put them in the same box and completely, if it's conservative, they have all of these negative stereotypes about conservatives that are just strawman arguments of an actual conservative in the same way, you know, all the strawman arguments of actual black people were completely untrue. So.
Brain for $5 says, this discussion between Sitch and Adam proves Doomer has moved the public question, is Vaush unironically evil, to how unironically evil is Vaush?
That's pretty good.
Funny.
So look, he's scanning, and in this video, he obviously he titled the video TERF. He's labeled her a conservative and is just attacking her as if she has conservative positions without any evidence of that being the case. Yeah. So, I mean, how is that any different than some 1950s, 60s racist just completely attacking black people because he has all these negative stereotypes of black people?
It's okay to attack people on the basis of their perceived political identity.
Because it's not immutable. So that's the difference.
I guess. Yeah.
If the stereotype though is inaccurate, even though it's based on something that's not immutable, the problem is the inaccuracy of the stereotype, not the fact that the person could become someone else. Like the person could change from conservative to progressive.
A lot of people say, well, because his response would be, oh, well, you can attack someone for their politics because it's their beliefs that they're imparting in the world and impacting people's lives. And race doesn't necessarily correspond with beliefs, but I think your counter to that is a valid one, which is that they're not actually the person's beliefs; they're their perceived beliefs, that are often based on negative stereotypes.
Right. These negative stereotype is all conservatives are racist, and we had the talk with the Vaush fan just recently, and she believes that. Well, the outcome of their beliefs is racism. Therefore, ipso facto, they are racist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'll be right back. I think the internet...
The roof is caving in?
No. I think the internet plug thing fell out on the internet end. So let me go check
because of the clip thing? Holy shit.
Yeah, the clip.
Hilarious.
I need a new one. But
That's
you can go back to the video.
A conservative. I don't know. Is she a conservative, a liberal, or a leftist?
A conservative, a liberal, or a leftist?
I became a narcissist. Interesting. What happened to free speech? Probably a conservative.
Okay, so she's in favor of free speech, and he assumes, okay, she's a conservative. What the fuck is happening to the world? Now progressives aren't allowed to be in favor of free speech. Liberals are not allowed to be in favor of free speech. I got to tell you, it's really the liberals that are most in favor of free speech.
I don't know.
He first of all, I completely believe he wants to assign her the position of conservative because that's what allows him to be as nasty as he can possibly be. Because conservative, according to Vaush's audience, all conservatives are racist. That's a negative stereotype of conservatives. That's what Vaush believes. That's what his fans believe. And you can beat up on racists. In our society, you can beat up on racists. And yeah, fuck racists. But this idea that this woman is a racist is, I mean, that's defamation right there. That's lies.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably a TERF.
Good.
Look, probably a TERF, he says. Yet he labels the video another British TERF. Was mean to me. I guess it's the was mean to me that is the reason why that he's going after her.
What's strange? First off, I just want to say, how the fuck has Vaush, Mr. I see no arguments against child pornography, and...
Damn, right off the bat. All right, we can be sexist again, but unironically this time. Damn, right off the bat.
See, that completely gets under Vaush's skin right there. As soon as they bring up the pedo thing, Vaush is just, I mean, he's demoralized. I think if Vaush had a time machine, he could go back and not say those comments. I think he definitely would update his history.
Yes.
I can't believe this chick is in favor of child slavery because that's the only reason you would like believe that's my position.
Get it?
Look at this. He's so upset. listen, Vaush, this is the bed that you made for yourself. When you mischaracterize everyone's position, they have zero obligation to rightly characterize your position, okay? This is where the negative stereotype war leads, okay? You agree with that, Sitch, right?
Yeah, that's why he's a groomer. I mean, wait, what are we talking about?
I don't like to misrepresent people's position because I'm team truth.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm not
above it all.
But I'm not going to sit here and, tell people they're wrong to fucking mischaracterize Vaush. Like, Vaush made this bed. He can fucking lie in it, right?
I genuinely cannot believe how much
Look, he wasn't expecting this. This completely knocked him off his game.
But what happened? I missed it.
She brought up the pedo thing.
Oh,
early on in the video.
So I was right to bring up the groomer.
Early on in the video, she brought up the pedo thing. Yeah, she brought up Vaush justifying child pornography. Yeah.
You see, I like the chat. Sexist arc part 2.
Right. Vaush does not like that. And who would? Nobody wants to be nobody wants to be accused of that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How much hubbubaloo has gone into I think that owning CP.
Look at this.
How much hubbubaloo has gone into I think that owning CP is as bad as child slavery. What a remarkable thing to be crucified for. To
optically he made that mistake early on in his career, but I think
that's not what he said though. He said that there's no he made a moral equivalence
between capitalism and CP.
Yes, to buying a fucking computer.
Right.
And buying child pornography or having child pornography.
And he did it to make capitalism seem bad.
Yeah, which is the dumbest fucking thing anyone could ever say.
Right. Yeah.
And his point is insane because first of all, I don't even know or believe his argument was, oh well, your computer has parts in it that were mined by child slaves. Okay?
Right.
Which I don't even know if that's true. And he provided no evidence for this claim.
Right.
Okay. But even if, say hypothetically we grant Vaush that is true, that every computer is crafted by child slaves in some regard, people are not aware of that fact.
Right.
Whatsoever.
Right.
And so it's not like people...
That's a great point.
Well, but that's super important because it's not like people who buy fucking CP are like unaware that it's causing harm.
Yes, totally.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He rhetorically he was trying to put capitalism on the same level as CP, which is
you're correct.
It was a rhetorical stunt and it backfired on him epically. So that's what you get.
Completely.
To be crucified for your sins.
All right, let's jump forward here. I'm pulling a...
Oh, does he go into any of the CP stuff more? He's really
he moves
nervous
on.
about it.
He moves on, yeah, obviously. It's trying to see here. I'm trying to go around 1240 here. Oh, perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Stop being cruel to retards. Okay, doesn't it give you like some kind of deep satisfaction, the knowledge of how mad these people get? Honest to God, I'm surprised there aren't more TERF suicides with how upset they get over social media at the mere existence of trans people and men who have different opinions than them. It's remarkable.
Okay, so already he's moved on from she's probably a TERF to just assuming she's a TERF.
Right.
And also, did you want to say something? You pause as well.
I didn't pause.
Oh, okay. It was just me.
Honest to God, I'm surprised there aren't more TERF suicides with how upset they get over social media at the mere existence of trans people and men who have different opinions than them.
See, and it's... I don't think TERFs are upset about the existence of trans people. I think they're upset about what they perceive as biological men in women-only spaces like competitive sports and locker rooms and shit. So that's a complete mischaracterization of the position. Yeah.
And it's intentional because in order to basically justify anything, as long as you call the person a genocider,
right? Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. And so if every complaint that anyone would have about anything in the trans activist community, they just rebrand as you're attacking my existence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's gaslighting. It's fucking evil. Remarkable. Like, all you really have to do is just sort of stand. If you're a trans woman, just standing and existing anywhere, whether or not you're in a women's facility or not, is enough to make them fucking. Look at her. Seething.
There you go.
And then you've got people
just
like
existing.
me. You know?
She does look seething. Look at that. She doesn't look seething at all.
Got a man with hair on my shoulders, and I have the audacity to disagree with women about things they're incorrect about.
Vaush just coming in to correct the women's. Coming in and correcting them.
And she gets so angry about it. I love it. I genuinely do. It's the same feeling that I get with the Professor Flowers types, where I know they, like, fall asleep every morning. Fall asleep every morning? Well, I did fall asleep this morning. I fell asleep at, like, 5 a.m., so that can work. But we'll say they fall asleep at night. But they fall asleep at night, like, the teeth gritted, tears streaming down their face and soaking the pillow, knowing that a white boy like me is reaching millions of people with my reactionary, racist agenda of not wanting ethno-states or whatever. It brings me more joy than you could possibly imagine. Every email I get from a fan saying, oh, you helped me debate my parents into accepting my identity as a trans woman. Your experiences are valid and wonderful, but the joy your email gives me is nothing in comparison to every angry tweet I see on Twitter whenever I go trending of people seething that I'm relevant. It is, oh, it's ambrosia.
This is a thing too. You guys need to look. You're playing right into Vaush's hands here when you do. And I see your comments. You guys do see that Vaush is relevant, which I don't necessarily understand or agree with, because I think Vaush is relevant because A, there are a lot of really stupid people in the world, and B, there are a lot of really smart people who like to laugh at him a lot. So he gets a lot of audience share from both sides. I think he gets a lot of hate views.
Well, you hit the ball. You buried the lead here when you described this clip in the beginning of the stream. Because the real thing here is that this is such a weird thing to admit. Because this is basically Vaush admitting to being a sociopath who gains more joy out of other people's anger than the fact that he's helping people.
Oh, yeah.
Or what he believes is helping people. Like, that's so And then it's double weird because he's saying this to his audience, assuming his audience is happy about this.
Of course. Bring out the Huxley quote. This is the whole point of Vaush's channel.
But this is like completely sick. This is completely psychotic. I don't know about you. I don't go to bed smiling that I've pissed someone. Even when we were feuding with Quackademic Agent. Okay. Yeah. When I'm on Twitter, which first of all, he starts everything. Okay. People start shit with me. You know, I'm just reacting defensively. But, you know, I'll laugh at stupid people who say stupid shit on Twitter, and then I make fun of. But then when I get up from my computer or I turn my phone off, I don't think about it. I'm not going to bed giddy. Like, I don't hold in my mind. I can't even imagine like having the emotional energy to hold in my mind as I drift off to sleep. Like, I'm thinking about so many more different things, so much more important things than like, oh, I angered someone today. He. This gives me pleasure as I fall asleep. Like, that's a weird fucking thought. Like, if that was my normal sleeping ritual, I would go to a psychologist and be like, listen, I think I have a personality disorder. Okay. Like, I think I could have the evil. Help. Like, what the fuck's going on here?
I need help. Yeah.
And then let alone to say, and I know, and this is the problem, is that like, I know it's like a joke. It's supposed to be quote unquote a joke, but I think it's true. I'm pretty sure this is true, to say that he gains more joy from angering people in a psychotic way than he does from people being like, oh, thanks to your content, you really helped me out here. Like that, to me, like that's insane. It's the exact opposite. When someone sends us a message or emails and says, oh, Sitch Adam, you guys are, really great. I really enjoy your content. It, really helps me sort of, remain not neutral, nuanced, or centered in like a crazy world. Like, to me, like that means so much more than some asshole on Twitter who gets ass blasted that I, had a snarky tweet at him. Like, I don't gain joy from that in a lasting way. Like, it's just so weird.
The messages I get from people that are kind of the "you helped me," it's the "you helped me escape the partisan bubble," which exactly. I'm like, man, my life has been immensely better ever since I got out of the partisan bubble. I sleep better at night. I feel like I understand where people are coming from. I don't feel like the world is separated into good and evil people, and I must be vigilant to destroy the evil people. There are evil people in the world, but there's a lot of miscommunication. Yeah, there's a lot of miscommunication that creates that.
Right.
And I still couldn't tell you if Vaush is. I think Vaush just might be stupid. I really think it might.
To me, one of the clear indications of being an evil person or a bad person is this utterly taking so much joy in upsetting other people.
Yeah, the suffering of others. But they're the suffering of his political rivals. So.
Like, I laughed so hard listening to academic
I
agents.
knew you were going to say that.
2-hour-long Twitter rage stream. That was like the funniest fucking thing.
He said it's a membership only. We need to we have I think CT downloaded a copy of that. We need to upload that to the secret channel.
We should do a commentary. It's just
you don't have to laugh. You don't have to be a member to watch that.
Yeah. But no, like I laughed so hard while I was watching that. But then I turned it off and I lived my life. Like I didn't think about it, for the rest of the day. I didn't think about it the next day, the next day. Like I didn't just, I don't rub my hands around thinking like, oh, I'm so glad that I angered this person.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's such a weird, to me, this is the signs of
get into that, but I'll play a little more to make sure we got it all here.
Love it.
Oh no, that's basically the end of it. Okay. So he's just happy, tickled pink that people hate his guts.
There's an alternative here. This could just be a lie. He could actually be very upset by all this, in that he just puts on this.
He wants to be loved. He's going he's going full Trump. He's like, I want everyone to love me.
And this could all just be a bullshit self-defense mechanism. Just be like, no, I actually love it when people attack me. I love it more than when people praise me. Keep attacking me harder, daddy. And then the inside's just crying tears of endless tears. So that's another possibility.
Okay, I told you the argument in her video, which is an argument that I agree with. I don't like it in movies when they throw reality out the window and don't acknowledge that biological sex differences exist. I think society would be better if we accepted that there are biological sex differences, learned them, studied them, and struggled to get rid of sex-based stereotypes that are just constricting to people. Go ahead.
I thought, to be clear, I thought you said her argument was she doesn't like when quote unquote strong female characters are basically just men. They're written to be just men.
Yes. Well, that is taking the stereotype of a man and placing it onto a woman, and she badass girl.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that applies to more than just physical prowess.
Right. It is playing to a predominantly male audience. Like Hollywood has discovered that Well, if we can substitute a female action hero, then the men can look at the boobies for the whole movie at the same time.
I don't know if
You don't
I don't
think
think
so?
that's. I don't think it appeals to anyone
Really?
except for like really idiot woke people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, I
Like,
I kind of like the female action hero.
Well, no, I know I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the female action hero, but like, okay, here's a good example, and this is why Death Proof was so fucking weird to me, is that Death Proof to me is like the stereotype of everything not to do for a quote unquote strong female character. Just make it, they just made Quentin Tarantino just made them men,
Right.
but then it's weird because he also did Kill Bill, which in my mind is one of the best examples of a strong female character. But it's not exactly clear, like, why is Uma Thurman's portrayal in that character, where she's doing all the crazy ninja flips and anime crap, she's cutting people, hundreds of people in half. Like, why does that feel like a real female character to me and not just like a woman like a man who's disguised as a woman?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, do you have that same feeling when you watch Kill Bill?
I wasn't a big fan of Kill Bill, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't like? I like the second one a lot more.
I mean,
because it's more character driven and less action.
Like I said in the beginning of Kill Bill, I thought it was completely unrealistic that they stopped fighting because the kid came in. Yeah. So I was like, already.
Why is that unrealistic?
Because the kid is the perfect. Listen, I've read enough of these books about like the Colombian drug cartels and shit. As soon as the kid comes in, the kid is like the perfect hostage.
I think you're completely wrong. That is actually, I think the fact that they stop fighting when the kid comes in is part of what makes it feel like she is a realistic female character, because part of her motivation is that she lost her own child.
Right. I get that.
She does feel this sort of, to some extent, empathy or sympathy to being a mother in that situation.
Is it Sicario? I think it is,
Mm-hmm.
where the guy loses his family, and then he goes to the guy that killed his family, and he kills his whole family. So I mean,
but that's
the kid is the perfect like get even. What the fuck?
But there's two things here. First of all, there's one thing here. I don't know if that's like a more male behavior, but that's like a 100% evil thing to do. There's no justification doing that. That's like
vengeance. Yes.
That's like evil Greek god shit. Like,
yes.
I'm gonna harm a bunch of innocent people to punish you was a horrible thing to do.
Well, it's a perfect. I mean, you've set up a character arc that's just amazing. If she kills a kid in the very beginning of the movie and spends the rest of the movie feeling horrible about it, then you've got a real character.
No,
arc.
that is insane. I can't believe you even said that.
Listen, have you not seen Sicario? Wait, they kill the whole family.
If Uma Thurman killed the little girl in the first 5 minutes of the movie, everyone would hate her character. They'd be tapped out for the rest of the movie.
It's true.
She wouldn't be a hero.
It's true.
No. Yeah,
yeah. I love the movie Train Spotting, but in the movie Train Spotting, they kill a baby, and you're just like, okay, this movie. Why did you do that? This movie was hilarious. The fucking dead baby
exactly.
It's too much. No. Yeah.
I think part of why Uma Thurman's character feels to me like realistic, even though she's doing all the karate shit, is because to me it's not just the physical. It's a lot of it is the way she talks, the way she interacts with people. It doesn't feel like she's just a male character in a female body, and she shows emotion. She's incredibly upset by the loss of her husband and her child. She's constantly getting her ass kicked and like being vulnerable. And I think that's really what people are responding to, is that they're putting women in these sort of invulnerable action hero roles, which are just boring.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's boring and stupid when men are in those roles, unless it's like a joke movie like Crank.
Right.
And I think and usually that was a kind of considered like a lowbrow action thing. Is like, oh, you have the the invulnerable male who just is completely unstoppable. But then for some reason, because if you like make a female character have that trait, it's considered empowering, so they can start shoving it into like supposedly more highbrow mainstream movies. And maybe that's really what's happening here.
Well, I'm gonna give that movie another look, since you seem to think that I missed something along the way. Sometimes I do, obviously radically reformulate my opinion on second viewing. I have watched many movies and not thought much of them, and then on second viewing I'm like, what was I thinking here? This movie's amazing. So
Well, I mean, I like the first half of the first movie. I don't like the second half, where it's just the super long action scene. I think it's boring.
Well, I love that stuff.
Okay, well, I don't know.
So in here, Vaush, I want to point out that Vaush is not addressing any of her argument. He's not taken the time to even understand her argument, which Vaush, as a gender abolitionist, you'd think he'd be on board with this argument, right? Getting rid of the male stereotypes. And Vaush, even in here, says something that just, I mean, it's an offhanded comment, but it goes straight to, reveals Vaush for the kind of counterfeit person that he is.
I don't think she comes off particularly gentle. She's just like smart and chill, but I don't know.
Who's he talking about?
The person in the movie.
What movie? Well, like what character?
You want to back it up?
Yeah. No, I want the context.
Well, here, you're going to get the context of the cat.
Okay.
Get rid of it. No more femininity for anybody. It's cancelled. Now we've come full circle and arrived back at Galadriel. On the surface,
Do you know who this is? Galadriel
from Lord of the Rings.
Okay,
she doesn't like Galadriel from Lord of the Rings.
Well, she doesn't like that the character has been masculinized. Is her
in The Hobbit or in Lord of the Rings?
I don't know. Who cares?
This is important. I care because if she,
I love it.
I don't. The Hobbit sucks.
So
maybe there's an argument there. I don't remember her role in The Hobbit.
That goofy language that J.R.R. Tolkien came up with? Sitch has read The Hobbit in that original language.
You mean? Okay, listen. No. But I want to know whether I agree with her argument or not.
Okay.
As opposed to just shitting on Vaush.
We'll watch.
I'm fine with doing, but
yeah. Well, you'll have to watch her original video because it's not in this video.
Okay, because to me, like, I don't agree. If she's saying that her character in Lord of the Rings is masculinized, I completely disagree with that. 100%.
You should do a proper response video.
Like overly masculine traits in Lord of the Rings.
You should do a proper response, main channel response video to this. You got a couple other things to do beforehand, though. Let's finish that comic script first.
she seems to have a lot in common with a Disney princess. She's beautiful, feminine, soft, royal, elegant, finely dressed, and gentle. I can see why characters like her and other feminine...
Is she gentle? I don't think she's gentle. I don't think she's soft or gentle. I think she's just like... She's scary.
She's both.
This is a fucking amazing, just, galaxy brain commentary from Vaush.
I know. Well, no, but okay. So she's not.
Is she gentle?
She's not saying that she thought Galadriel was masculine. She's saying the opposite.
All Vaush is doing is consulting his gut right here.
Well, no. Vaush is just he's being a reactionary.
Totally.
Okay? Because that's why Galadriel is all those things, and then she is scary at the same time. Right. But she was scary in a very sort of feminine way, because like before she does the thing where she freaks out to like with the ring, it's always like, you hear her voice in your head, and she like has control over your mind, and she kind of manipulates you. She wasn't swinging down from the tree top doing karate chops on people or something.
Yeah, totally. She's got that sexy voice in your ear that just makes you want to go wherever she says to go, right?
Exactly. She's had siren powers almost.
Even in the Lord of the Rings, one of the only things that she does in that story is she does the spooky fucking ghost thing to try to spook Gandalf. Like, because she's strong.
Spook Gandalf.
I don't think she comes off particularly gentle. She's just like smart and chill. But I don't know.
She does that to Frodo.
Characters are being erased or rewritten along with the weak.
You see?
Oh, Frodo, not Gandalf. Sorry, Frodo, not Gandalf.
Even the chat's like, "What are you talking about?"
Sitch, you're so ahead of the game here. That's hilarious.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah, Frodo. Yeah, he didn't do that to Gandalf.
And she doesn't do it. But
he has the ring. Gandalf has the ring, or no? Frodo has a ring.
Frodo has a ring. Yeah. Right. No, but see, now we know Vaush is a fake Lord of the Rings fan because it's not to scare Frodo. It's that when Frodo offers her the ring because he's enchanted by her,
right?
Like that's just like her normal reaction is that that's who she would become with that power,
right? Oh,
because just as Frodo is tempted by Galadriel, Galadriel is tempted by Sauron.
Yeah, Frodo gets a ring because of his humility. He's the only one that can.
Well, it's not quite his humility. It's he has no real ambitions.
Right. That is kind of humility, but
I guess a little.
Yeah.
Can you play the scene where Frodo has given the one? Nope, had enough copyright troubles lately.
Princesses, but let's not lump them in together. That would be very short-sighted and foolish. I believe there's a saying that's appropriate here. Something about babies and bathwater. Don't confuse the queens with the princesses. Don't throw the women out with the girls. Galadriel is just about the furthest thing from powerless or a victim that I can think of. What they've done to her, it's almost like, so it's an Amazon thing. What they've done to her, it's almost like if you looked.
Oh, okay, I understand. So she's saying that in the new Amazon show, they've taken Galadriel, who was a powerful female character, and they made her just like a man. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm glad you explained that there was a TV show. Okay.
Okay.
This
I haven't
is
seen
typical.
the Amazon show, but okay.
This is typical. They bring in all these super woke writers who don't believe in biological sex difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even it's not even a question. I mean, I guess it is a question of not believing in biological sex because then if you just approach characters like blank slates, and then you approach them with this sort of like critical theory prescription of I need to subvert gender roles by having my woman just be a man,
right?
Which to me it's so funny because to me that's the height of sexism.
It is, because
it's essentially saying that
in order to be strong, successful leader, you have to be a man.
Right. You're essentially saying that male associated traits or stereotypically male associated traits are good and stereotypically female associated traits are bad.
Right. Yes.
Which is the ultimate hypocrisy and irony of all this woke feminist garbage.
Yeah, and she's making the argument that there are obviously female traits that would be more advantageous in situations of leadership that should be focused on, which I'm totally in favor of. Yeah.
Elizabeth I and thought, so I know she was an immensely powerful, clever, and tough monarch who ruled alone for years and whose influence extends out to this day. But isn't it a shame she never picked up a sword and hacked people to death on the battlefield?
Didn't she literally canonically fight? Like in the text written by Tolkien?
Is it wrong for me to use that screen grab as our thumbnail? I feel like it is, but I don't know. That's a pretty awesome screen.
I don't know. Is anyone like a huge Lord of the Rings Silmarillion or whatever it's called nerd? Did she ever fight? I mean, in Lord of the Rings, I don't believe she ever fought. Yeah.
Fighting in battle, I think, that's the crux of it. And if you are going to have them fight in battle, having them fight realistically, I think, is the thing. But women and swords, it depends.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I don't remember if there are any. Yeah, okay. People are saying she didn't. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember. Well, and it's funny because it's not just a male-female thing. This is also a very good critique of Yoda in the prequels. Like Yoda should have never picked up a lightsaber and did a bunch of backflips and fought Count Dooku.
Very true. Yeah, same exact problem.
He was supposed to be sort of beyond physical confrontation, or at least he should have been beyond physical confrontation.
They just wanted to show the ping pong ball Yoda. Bounces all around the room. Which it does. It does kind of ruin the status a bit.
Luthien fought Sauron, but she did it through magic singing. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Great.
There you go.
Literally did that. Wait. It's a medieval fantasy universe. Why would they not fight? Like, she's an incredibly powerful, immortal fantasy.
That's true. Some in the chat brought up, there was the whole, there was the character whose name escapes me, the woman who kills the Witch King.
Look, she
was like the more classical feminist, like, I can fight just like the men. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with having that character. It's just the question is, every female character doesn't have to be that character, right?
This is the interesting thing about the video. Right now, Vaush.
Eowyn, thank you. Anyway,
Vaush is arguing for the male perspective. Vaush is saying the women, in order to be powerful, must fight like the men. He is arguing for the gender stereotype perspective.
Right.
Demigod. Why wouldn't she fight? Why wouldn't she? By the way, I like how she's implying right now that your femininity cannot survive fighting. Like, you can be an immortal, like, god queen woman, and you can be all feminine, but you can't fight because that robs you of your femininity. Like, there's no way to do that while being feminine. That is unironically sexist, by the way. Queen Elizabeth literally commanded the army against the...
And now he tries to push her into this conservative gender, the girls will be in the kitchen and the boys will be on the football field.
Right.
Stereotype, which the video is literally fighting against. That's my biggest problem here, is that Vaush is completely mischaracterizing her perspective.
Right.
Yeah, to turn it into a stereotype.
And I'll go and I'll watch her video, because I'm assuming, I mean, the only way Vaush should be correct is if she was saying that the character of Eowyn sucked because, women should never pick up a sword and fight. And I don't think she's saying, oh, if a woman picks up a sword and fights someone, she loses her femininity. She's just saying that you had a character who wasn't about physical violence, who still was powerful and respected, and that power was seen more through a feminine lens in the way that her character sort of used her power and the way her character kind of acted. And it's disappointing to see in Amazon woke Lord of the Rings that has to be twisted through the stereotype cookie cutter of, I have to be a man, essentially. I have to pick up a sword. I have to do, be a strong fighter in battle. That's the only way to be a strong leader, a strong character.
Yeah.
Yada, 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 yada.
The Spanish? Did she, like, on the field? A painting of her wearing, like, oh my god. Sword fight in the 1850s or whatever,
Okay. I'm not Sargon. Okay, I don't know my proto-American history. But I'm assuming that Queen Elizabeth wearing that outfit that she's wearing in that picture,
she's not getting ready for battle. Yeah.
With a musket or a sword or a pike or whatever the fuck they were using. It
She's
looks like
there to inspire the troops, obviously.
Yeah. She rode into battle with a pike wearing that outfit and skewered a bunch of Spaniards.
But Vaush just destroyed her argument by showing the queen in an actual battle.
In a poofy dress.
Wait, is this not the 1850s? What is this? I mean, I think this girl might be a fake fan. Lord of the Rings. List of canonical situations in which Galadriel fought.
I mean, the guy who confused Frodo and Gandalf.
Right, I know.
Call anyone a fake fan.
Female elves are common in elven armies in fantasy. Yeah, female elves fight as much or more than male elves in like every fantasy universe I can think of.
Because they're all like true in Tolkien though, but I know it's true now.
They're all like archers and shit, and also they're fucking magic.
Misses the entire point.
I know.
Fought in defense of the Motherkin in Fëanor, escaped the sack of Doriath, host cross. Okay, this is some nerd ass shit. Okay, she fights a lot in the canon.
You fools! That's very silly. What is this heralding of masculine ideals of strength above all others? No disrespect to soldiers, truly. But you're not seriously going to tell me that a nameless soldier in her army had more power than fucking Elizabeth I just because he could throw a punch better? I say that. I bet old Lizzie could have decked someone if she wanted to. It's always the redheads. My point, though, is that not literally just what they've done with Galadriel? Like...
What? Wait, what? I unironically don't even understand what she's trying to say here.
It's so funny. Vaush
How
is so fucking confused by this.
I'm watching this video completely out of context. Okay?
I know, and
I
you know what's going
exactly
on.
what she just said.
Of course.
Instantly. And Vaush was sitting there watching this whole thing. Doesn't. How is that fucking possible?
Yeah. Look, there's different types of power, Vaush.
Yes.
There's the power of the infantrymen on the front lines, who I would say are lower power level than a fucking queen.
Yes. Even if they could beat the queen in a fist fight.
Yes,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Because as soon as the infantrymen lifted a finger to hurt the queen, like 100 top level soldiers would come out and just decimate him.
Yes.
That's power.
Right. And I'm assuming her broader point is that it's sexist to portray that the only power that's actually power is physical power.
True. Yes.
And that's a very sort of masculine, masculine stereotype idea that is now being foisted and held up as like a progressive woke idea, which makes no sense whatsoever.
If you have two scenes and you have the queen on the battlefield and some infantryman who's a spy tries to take out the queen, is the scene more powerful if she fights hand-to-hand combat the spy herself, or if if her army just disposes of the spy without her lifting a finger?
Right. Okay. You know what? I'm so glad that you picked this video. This relates to something that no one but you will understand.
What is that?
I want you to envision that Z is the embodiment of feminine power, Adam.
Okay.
In the opening scene for book 2.
Let's not give away the book 2. Okay.
You know what I'm saying.
I know, but we can't talk about it.
I know, but I just
Sitch has only had 3 hours sleep, so
this is a very good. This is exactly what I was trying to talk about the other day.
Right.
When we were planning out.
I know. I told you.
Stuff. Okay.
You want to make Z completely soy. I get it.
I don't even.
No, how dare you?
Come on, let's continue.
You sexist pig. Okay, a man can enjoy feminine power too.
I don't even know what she's referring to here. No, it's incomprehensible. Yeah.
It's incomprehensible. It's so incomprehensible, okay? It's incomprehensible. Listen, you have to be a big brain PhD to be able to figure out what she just said.
Yeah. It's a fantasy universe where powerful people fight. This is one of the most common tropes in fantasy. In all.
Yes, it's a trope, a cliche. She's saying that why do we have to suffer from this cliche writing? Cliches are bad.
Well, and also, I mean, maybe Vaush is like a fake Lord of the Rings fan. Maybe he really likes The Hobbit. Like Lord of the Rings, when I read the books, it was never, in my mind anyway, I never characterized Lord of the Rings as like a bunch of anime characters getting into sword fights.
Yes.
There are sword fights in it, but like that is not the focal point of Lord of the Rings whatsoever. And that was never, even with like, and it was interesting, like even with Gandalf, in the books especially, he doesn't really do a lot. He's not shooting fireballs. He's not casting wizard spells the way like a more stereotypical Western wizard would. Like the majority of Gandalf's power is his ability to inspire others and be a good leader.
Which is power, a different type of power, yeah, but amazing.
That's why everyone respects him and likes him, because he's like the guy that people turn to because he knows what the fuck, people should be doing.
Yeah.
He's rallying the troops. And I always thought that was kind of interesting. He wasn't, Gandalf isn't casting level 10 fireballs at people. So it's weird for Vaush to conceptualize Lord of the Rings as like that.
Yeah. There's so many different types of power, and Lord of the Rings is an exploration of that in so many interesting ways, and how power corrupts. The whole
Right, and like
idea
even,
behind the ring is about corrupting power.
Exactly, and even with Sauron, like yeah, there's the scene. I don't think they really go into it in the books. Like I know in the movie in the beginning that Sauron has the ring on and he's like batting a bunch of soldiers away, but really the whole point behind Sauron the Ring was he made a bunch of fake rings, or not fake rings, but he made a bunch of rings that like other human kings and elves and dwarves would put on, and then he would control their minds with their ring.
Right.
Like so much of like Lord of the Rings is actually the perfect conversation for this, because Sauron's path to power wasn't even supposed to be physical power. It was supposed to be mental manipulation.
Right. Yeah. You'd think Vaush would understand mental manipulation as power. I mean, that's his whole brand. Right?
That's his whole brand.
All media, which is that political leaders will often be supernaturally strong and they'll fight alongside soldiers. That's not an uncommon...
Boy, Vaush.
That's very common.
Vaush, are you just reading the chat now?
Why would she not fight? She's really strong. Like, why would she not do that?
It's that ridiculous and stupid. Again, I may be proved wrong, maybe it's all wrong and Amazon has not done this, but I doubt it, because it is just one example in a much larger trend, and I have little faith left. I've spoken several times of my anger and irritation at femininity not being seen as good enough, but this one with Galadriel is interesting, because she's not just any female character. There's something spiritual about her, which is why this particular change seems more insulting than others in the past. She really does represent something divine. She's not a mortal woman. She's beyond that, something else, out of reach. Something pure and eternal, goddess-like. How might you desecrate a character like that? Covering her in mud and blood would be a good start.
Desecrate? This woman is way more sexist than she even claims that I am. It is insane. No wonder she doesn't call herself a feminist. This woman isn't only not personally in favor of expanding her behavior beyond the limits of patriarchal women's expectations. She is actively politically against women doing that. Like, this is literally men should be men, women should be women, except I just happen to...
How is he so stupid?
I know, it's fucking mind-boggling. It's a gender studies fucking degree talking, man.
This is like... It's literally what she said was literally what I just said, a minute ago about Yoda. There are characters who we view as supposed to be like beyond fighting or above fighting. And I would agree that at least from Lord of the Rings, Galadriel definitely seems to fit that mold. She's always glowing.
Fighting lowers their status.
Yes.
Fighting diminishes their power.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's the argument.
Yeah. Right. Like she should be above it all. She should be above, having to sully her hands with, killing people, and getting mud and shit all over. And and not only that, that's a very classic, that's not a female thing. That's a very classic idea for lots of fantasy powerful characters who are sort of seen as like very wizened or wise or ancient.
Vaush understands this. Vaush is an egomaniac. We've covered Vaush before where he talks to his audience like, you guys are the fucking janitors of the world, okay? And I am Vaush. You are in my chat. You are watching me. I am the great one. And he knows this about optically how it is for them to get down in the mud.
Dislike men as a political position. Massive pick-me girl energy. Yeah, 100%.
What is that? What's a pick-me girl? I don't know what that is.
I looked this up last week. Why did this come up last week?
This is Vaush's new thing to call everyone as a pick-me girl.
A pick-me girl is a girl who craves male attention and tries to be, quote, not like other girls. Basically the female equivalent of a simp.
It's
according to Urban Dictionary.
Is it the manic pixie?
No. Well, so it's interesting that he uses this for her, because when I hear that definition of a pygmy girl, I think of like the stereotype that Vaush wants to cultivate, the girl who's like, I'm not like other girls. I'm just like one of the boys. You know,
right? Yeah.
So like a girl whose identity is that she's a girl gamer.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
like, oh, no one cares. Like, okay, lots of people play video games. No one cares.
What's the
you're
name
a girl
for that?
gamer.
It's a manic pixie gamer.
Well, no,
girl
it's
or
not
something.
a manic pixie's different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there can be an element of the not like the other girls, I guess, with the manic pixie thing, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not quite a one for one, but whatever.
Okay.
Then I suppose you could tear away everything that makes her powerful, rip away her divinity, and make.
How is her fighting in a war tearing away what makes her powerful? Isn't that a demonstration of what makes her powerful? Ripping everything out.
Of course, the Marxist who sees everything as power struggles doesn't understand.
I know. The whole idea, this being forced to just be against something reflexively does turn you into an idiot, because he's only arguing against this point because it's the last thing out of her mouth.
You're correct.
Yeah. He's not even paying attention to the bigger picture, which, I mean, he would make that argument he's made that argument on his channel many times. He knows about optics. He knows what's going on.
What are you talking about? We're just making up.
Become mundane, taint something that was pure. I've been rereading The Lord of the Rings recently because I am an intellectual, and not long ago.
This is so, I mean, what's
pure.
going on here?
That is a very strange term to apply to a woman, saying that it gets like, what is the difference between her perspective here and like an 1800s misogynist father who believes women should be pure and dainty and untarnished, but like the purity of women is ruined by battle? That's a long-held position to this day and has been for millennia. The idea that women...
So he just basically makes up a position for her.
Yes, it's 100% straw man bullshit.
And assigns it to her, which I think is completely bad faith.
Listen, when I said that I think Yoda should be above fighting and not whip out a little lightsaber and do backflips with Count Dooku, that's because I am a man from the 1800s who believes that a nice young lady like Yoda should not dainty himself with the masculine sweat of battle.
That scene is kind of laughable, with Yoda bouncing off the walls and jumping all around the room.
Everyone laughs at that scene, yeah.
It completely lowers Yoda's status. I mean, he's not... Yes. It's just weird. It's weird.
It is weird. It's super weird.
Yeah.
Women represent some kind of like maternal purity that gets sullied by things like enterprise, commerce, and warfare. That's like a pretty common misogynistic belief that like women should be kept barefoot and pregnant because the rigors of the general...
Yeah, the Queen of England should be kept barefoot and pregnant. That's exactly what she's saying, Vaush. She's saying the powerful, divine goddess queen should be kept barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. It's just comical. It's comical.
Holy shit, he's such an idiot. This video is insane.
Well, and just a big fat fucking liar. Just a big fat fucking liar.
I can't tell. Does he know he's lying and strawmanning, or is he just an idiot?
Are you saying that? Okay, so this is systemic dishonesty then.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know that he's lying, but he is lying.
I don't know. I can't tell.
Shouldn't there
he is stupid.
Shouldn't there be some accountability for spreading false information? I mean,
of course.
I'm sure Vaush was one of those people yelling on Twitter about spreading misinformation about the pandemic. I'm sure he wanted to lock that shit right down, but yet he's allowed to just spread this misinformation about everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The world are too much for their pure souls, and that women who partake in these things are tainted, and that makes them worse mothers and wives. Is that not a common, like, this isn't just like modern misogyny?
Look, he's trying to assign a position on her where she's a misogynist pig.
Remember the part
oppressing
in the video
women
where she said Galadriel should give up the crown and just raise a child like a good woman.
Yeah.
And
no, I don't remember that part of the video.
Let her husband / consort rule instead. Do you remember when she said that?
No, she didn't say that. That's the problem. Okay. Yeah. That's the problem. He's making that shit up, Vaush. Vaush, you need to knock it off.
Hey, this is like old school misogyny coming from her.
See, this is just, that's Vaush's whole game. He picks somebody out and he wants to turn them into a misogynist, a racist, or a homophobe, or a transphobe. This he's shooting for 2 of the 4, transphobe and misogynist.
Oh, I read the part where we meet Galadriel for the first time. Okay. I have my copy here. It's very battered because I've had this since I was like 8 years old or something, so I'm not nice to my books. That recently I came off today. I've already had to stick it.
All right, I'm going to skip forward.
Did he censor that or did she censor that?
I think she censored it.
Okay, because she bent down and like tits falling out or something.
You, how dare you?
Is he? I was curious if he commented on it, but.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it. We were too far gone. Go to your next.
I'm trying to get to 4117.
Okay, go to 4117
for my last comment.
I'm gonna have to watch this whole video now at some point because this is insane.
You're not allowed to. Once we cover something on a show, you're not allowed to watch the video again.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, well, you do now. Okay. Okay, here we are. Lots of long silences from Vaush. I had no idea.
He's stunned. He's stunned into stupidity.
Vaush is
stupor.
He spends a lot of time just reading the chat. Long silences.
Everyone has swords? Yeah, why wouldn't people have swords? It's a goddamn fantasy world.
Me and saw there love and understanding. Wonder came into his face, and then he smiled in answer.
How long is this?
He rose clumsily and bowed. Is above all the jewels that lie beneath the earth.
Look, he's fast forwarding. He's fast forwarding past the part she's reading.
Well, I'm assuming. I mean, I don't know exactly what the context is. It sounds like she's trying to read some evidence for her claim.
Yes, totally.
And he's like, I don't want to hear your evidence. So let me fast forward through it.
And yes, from that point, Gimli does get a little bit obsessed, asking for strands of her hair. But we'll overlook that. No, but okay. My point is though, like everyone has that reaction to her. Maybe not quite as extreme, but my point is it's not her beauty. It's really not. It's not her beauty, or at least not solely. That is why she has this quality that makes people adore her. It's something far deeper than that. Said love and understanding. Something far deeper than that. Something very feminine. Something queenly and understanding.
I also think it's really weird to like attribute the characteristics of leadership that she has as being like the feminine bit.
Okay. Savor what he just said.
Okay, I'm savoring.
Vaush literally admits that leadership is not a feminine trait.
Well,
if leadership is not a feminine trait, what is it?
Well, he would say, I'm assuming he'd say it's a gender neutral trait.
This quality that makes people adore her. It's something far deeper than that. Said love and understanding. Something far deeper than that. Something very feminine. Something queenly and understanding.
I also think it's really weird to like attribute the characteristics of leadership that she has as being like the feminine bit. I don't know. In the bit in the movie that I saw from her, I wasn't like, obviously she's very feminine, but like the things about her that made her impressive had more to do with the whole demigod elf power than they had to do with her being like womanly, in my opinion. No, and none of this is...
See, I don't know how you can't say that he's separated leadership. Femininity does not equal leadership. I mean, it seems crystal clear to me. Well, it doesn't seem neutral at all.
Vaush would probably not agree or admit to the idea that, like, if there was a great queen and a great king that were both great and beloved, people's perception of them and how they treated them and how they viewed them would be different, even if they respected them both equally. It still would have people still would just have like a different thought about it, different feeling about it. And I don't think he would ever agree to that or admit to that.
So do you, I mean, leadership can't be, femininity and leadership cannot be intertwined?
No, of course it can. Obviously.
Right.
But just saying, like, there are probably gender neutral, like if we were going to really like map out all the qualities of being a leader, it's going to be like a Venn diagram between males and females. There's going to be qualities that both will share in great leadership, and then there's going to be qualities that are more associated with feminine and more associated with masculine when it comes to, being a great leader.
Yeah.
And, Galadriel in the movie at least definitely embodies, she definitely embodies like the feminine qualities. I mean, and if you doubt this,
charisma is probably the most important quality in leadership. And I mean, charisma is,
I wouldn't say charisma is, it's gender neutral, but like, just if you doubt this, and this is why Vaush's argument is stupid, just picture in your mind that replace Galadriel's character with a guy. And you'd be like, that's weird. like doing all the same things, saying all the same stuff, kind of having the same facial
dude
reactions.
Whispering in my ear like that? Fuck you.
Yeah, it would be very weird. You'd be like,
all of a sudden you're like,
this is uncomfortable. I don't know. Like,
I didn't expect ASMR, dude. Can you back up when you say that?
Right. Yeah. So just imagine that and tell me that she didn't have like a strong feminine quality to her, which he admitted to. He's just saying that he doesn't think he won't admit that there's going to be this difference in leadership type or quality that maybe a man or woman might have between the two of them.
I mean, you're kind of simping for Vaush here. I really thought I had the devastating
I'm saying no.
on him.
I said he won't admit that. He won't admit that there will be a difference.
Vaush is not going to admit anything he believes because it makes him look like a misogynist pig.
No. I'm saying he wouldn't. In order to make this argument, Vaush would not admit that there are like. Well, first of all, Vaush will not admit that there are feminine and masculine traits that are not social, that are not entirely social constructs and part of the patriarchy. I don't even know if he'll admit that in the first place.
I don't think you would. No, of course not.
So I'm not even sure. So yeah, this could be very obvious. But.
All right, let's just listen to a little more and then we'll go to super chats.
Mutually exclusive to fighting in a war either. Like, even if you could demonstrate that, like, she's super feminine or whatever, like, okay, and also she fought in a war. Like, okay.
Something accepting about her. So I was thinking if I could come up with any real-life examples of women like this, because it's all very well to talk about Galadriel and the power of femininity when you're talking about a magical elf. So, okay, are there any real women then that have that kind of authority and power? Like, what are you talking about? So, obviously, they won't be completely like Galadriel, because as we've established, she's not a mortal woman. And
What does this have to do with whether or not you can sword fight? This is so weird. Femininity doesn't make you feel pathetic.
Okay, so she was going to make a very interesting point, but Vaush was not interested in the point, so evidently we'll have to watch the original video. So
okay,
all this went over Vaush's head, which I think is pretty funny, and generally why people wanted to respond to us. But she made a response video to Vaush and pretty much called him out for being a misogynist pig.
She made a response to this video.
To this video, yes, exactly. Yeah,
that's good.
Yes, indeed. So, any closing thoughts before we move on?
No, Vaush is an idiot, but we all knew that already. So
yeah, fun stuff. All right.
Fun. Okay.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.